Our conversation with IUP President Michael Driscoll is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. And on this beautiful Wednesday morning, we're talking with the president of IUP. Good morning.
Good morning, Todd. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, and I hope you are as well.
It's a beautiful day.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I want to talk to you mainly about what's going to be happening on Friday. And, today being a Tuesday, 911 happened on a Tuesday, and it was a day just like this around here, the beautiful sunny skies. But before we get to that portion of our conversation, I do want to get a comment or two from you about the latest COVID-19 dashboard from IUP showing a number of infections, 19 of them reported in the last week. Obviously, that's not a result that you were hoping for, but not unexpected.
I think that's right. None of us want anyone to be sick and catch the virus, of course. But given that we're now about 2 weeks into the semester, a little past that, and have had our freshmen back on campus for about 3 weeks, it's probably not a surprise to see a little bit of a bump there. My rough count looks like there were about 45 new cases total in the county during that same period, the last week and a day or thereabouts. And it looks like 19 of those were IUP students or so. One of the student cases, the new ones, is actually somebody not here, so maybe I should say 18 of them are in the county. Mm-hmm. It's something we'll keep an eye on, but we don't have that many cases that are consuming quarantine beds, and we don't have students that are hospitalized or anything at this point. So they seem to be minor cases so far, knock wood.
Yeah. Pretty satisfied with the way IUP has responded?
We've got a remarkable group of people here, and I really am proud and thankful for all the great work that happened this summer across all of our employees and our students. Student Government Association was active. The Graduate Student Association was active over the summer, helping us plan to do the best we possibly can in these unpredictable and just impossible circumstances. I think we're doing as well as we can in educating our students, which is our job and why we're here, preparing them for the future.
I'm talking with IUP President Michael Driscoll. Every year, September 11th rolls around, and we express shock at the fact that it's been so many years since it happened, and yet it remains fresh in the minds of many of us. And one of the things that really opens our eyes to the fact that it happened a while ago is the fact that the freshmen here at IUP this year, they weren't living, for the most part, during the original September 11th, the tragedies that struck America. And that should make this Friday's event a little bit extra special, should it not?
It absolutely does. It's important for all of us to remember and sort of memorialize those folks that were lost on September 11th. And you're absolutely right. We're at a time when this is something that happened before our new students were born. It's history. It's not something that they lived through as you and I did. And so it's important that we remind them of what it was like during that time in September of 2001. And
the fact that IUP had some alumni who perished in the 911 attacks, the fact that a very poignant piece of the 911 commemoration here in Indiana County is right there on campus really drives home how we are one global community.
I think that's really, really important to note. We are fortunate that the Kowalczyk family has loaned us a piece of one of the trade centers, a relic, if you will, that helps us focus and remember. But it's the people that are most important, and we remember William Moskal, Donald Jones, and William Sugra, three of our alum, different decades actually, who were in the trade centers and were lost that day, and we remember them every year.
You, of course, have been here for a number of years, and you've been through this ceremony before. Certainly this week's ceremony will be different from any previous year because of the pandemic and the restrictions on campus. Nonetheless, it will be a very, very moving day. Tell me about what you've experienced in the past, what you look forward to for this week.
I think it's so important to hear stories, and we're fortunate. We'll have our professor of military science, Lieutenant Colonel Faulkner, will serve as the master of ceremonies. A faculty member, Dr. Nadine Lamoureux, who's a professor in our Department of Counseling, will share some memories of the time and the impact on her, and I will make a few remarks as well. And we'll have some members of our wind ensemble under the direction of Dr. Timothy Paul providing some music for that. Hopefully the weather will hold. If we need to move inside, we will, and we'll be in Gorell Hall, but it will be much more restricted in terms of the number of people that will be able to be directly involved. We'll certainly do some recording of the event and making that available and so on for people. 8:35 on Friday is the start time. We'll be in the Oak Grove if it's not raining.
Yeah, and I think we'll be okay in that respect. We should be good. As you think back on past commemorations at IUP of 911, and how in the course of a day you might come across somebody completely unexpected who has a personal story of that day. The IUP community, obviously affected by 911, as everybody was, but that connectivity from one person to another is a vital, important thing for our nation, let alone for IUP.
It's remarkable to think about all of the places that Indiana County residents and IUP alum are and have been. I recall a few years ago I was chatting with Joe Ruschini about the ceremony and how we were looking for someone to speak, and he said, I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And he was in one of the other buildings, a building that was damaged in the attack and some of the aftermath. And so he volunteered to tell his story. And that's happened so many times, and the way that we can connect and share those memories, share those stories, that's how we keep alive the memories of the folks that were lost that day. And it's so important. And many, many folks from here were there or were friends or family of someone who was there, and so everyone has a story to tell.
There are always new people on campus at IUP, especially when prospective students and their families come to visit. When they come across that piece there in the Oak Grove, what are some of the reactions that they have?
It's remarkable to watch people who are, having fun in the Oak Grove, which is a wonderful social gathering kind of place, and talking about their future, and they stop and they look, and they're not sure what they're seeing at first, and they read about it and become very quiet and very thoughtful. And they may start to talk about their memories of the time, or these days parents may tell their children as they're looking what it was like before those kids were born, when this was happening, when there were no planes flying and very quiet, and people learned how to work together and cross boundaries to try to help each other and show compassion. And so that moment of change to reflection is remarkable to observe.
People talk about the fabric of a nation, and certainly there is one, and it's an ever-changing fabric. Are there lessons we can still learn today by looking at that memorial, by actually experience what will happen again on Friday?
I've been thinking a lot this year as our country has been dealing with all sorts of divisiveness, I guess I would say, and we're trying to really take a run at ending racism and systemic racism in light of some of the tragic events of this summer, to try to do that in a constructive way. And I've been reflecting on how people had to overcome their prejudice at the time in 2001, how we had to figure out how to help each other, how people ran into those buildings not caring about what color somebody was or where they were from or what their religion was, and how that's a lesson we need to learn again and again, and it seems very relevant today.
8:35 on Friday is when the ceremony will begin. Obviously, physical distancing and other restrictions in place. Will the size of the crowd be limited?
We're going to try to keep it, of course, under the 250 for outdoor events that's in place under the governor's direction. And we would encourage people to social distance or wear masks if they are concerned about not being able to stay 6 feet apart from everyone else. And I hope that we'll have a reasonable crowd and that everyone can stay safe while we undertake this, what I think is a sacred event of memorializing the day and the people.
That's certainly a good way to put it. All right, our final moments today with IUP President Michael Driscoll. So let me ask you, what are the things around the Indiana community, around the IUP campus, that we need to be aware of as the semester moves forward, as we get news almost every single day about pandemic-related issues, other issues around IUP and the state system of higher education. What are some of the things people need to be reminded of?
Well, I think it's important to remember, first and foremost, the idea that we're all in this together to keep each other safe, and I'm pleased that Indiana Borough has come forward with sort of the tagline for that with their Together Indiana campaign to make sure that we're all helping each other stay well as we get through these days and weeks and months ahead, I think, before we'll see a vaccine. That's one thing. The other thing I would say is that IUP is a great community, and we are directly attacking the challenges that we face in these times of challenged enrollment. We'll have official numbers in the next week or so for the fall, and I'm hopeful they'll be a little better than we were projecting, but still challenging times. But we're figuring out how to make this institution and this place stronger for the future, and that's the hard work we're doing, and great people are involved in that.
You know, Dr. Greenstein, he in his blog most recently, that was the longest blog he's ever written as the Chancellor of the State System of Higher Education. He really laid down the gauntlet, didn't he? He
did, absolutely. And I thought that was a very compelling piece, long though it may be, in terms of setting a call to action in multiple ways. And so we certainly have mentioned our need to move to address issues of racism, make sure that we are providing all of the diversity, equity, and inclusion opportunities for our students and for ourselves. We're all learning together and growing together. That's a key part as we continue to build the next generation of IUP for our future.
Absolutely. Dr. Driscoll, want to thank you for spending some time with us today. It's been good.
My pleasure. Always good to talk to you, Todd.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. You heard from Dr. Driscoll, 8:35 on Friday in the Oak Grove, the 911 commemorative service.